In this video I'm showing how I resolved an issue with a Wynn ceiling fan. I got this fan from Home Depot and I'll leave a link in the description with the model information. This fan comes with a wireless remote that you can use to control it. And as soon as I installed it, we noticed this thing would just mysteriously turn itself on and off. It really had a mind of its own. Sometimes the lights would come on and off, sometimes we'd walk by and the fan would be spinning at full tilt. People who live out in the sticks probably will never experience this problem, but I live in the city and my neighbors' houses are pretty close by. So I have a feeling one of my neighbors has a similar fan and my fan was just picking up signals from their remote. I found some posts about this on the Home Depot forums, and it sounds like this is a pretty common issue in apartment complexes and whatnot. The most common recommendation was to move both the remote and the receiver to a different frequency. This can be done using the little switches on the remote and the receiver. Standard disclaimer here that working with electricity is dangerous. Cut the power before proceeding to the next steps, or hire an electrician if you don't feel like dealing with it. I tested the fan with the remote real quick just to make sure that the power was cut, and then I got started. Luckily I had just installed this fan, so I had a pretty good memory of how it was put together. You can begin by rotating this ring counterclockwise, and then it slides down and exposes 2 screws. You only have to completely remove one screw, the other one you can just loosen. Then you slightly rotate the housing, and it should slide down and expose the wiring and the receiver. I used a voltage tester to confirm that there were no angry pixies in the wiring, and then I slid the receiver out the side. When I zoom in on the receiver here, you can see that there are 4 switches. They're all in the down position, which is how they were when I got the fan from the store. I didn't think anything of it at the time, and I just installed the fan this way, but apparently the factory sends out all of these fans like this. It seems like they could have saved people a lot of headaches by just randomizing these before shipping them out, but they were like, nah, we'll just leave them all the same. Give everybody another reason to hate their neighbor.
Hey Griswold, where do you think you're gonna put a tree that big? Bend over and I'll show you.
If you pop the back cover off the remote, you should find a similar set of switches there as well. I changed the number 2 and 4 to the up position on the remote, and then made the same changes on the receiver. Then I took the receiver and the wiring back in place, put the housing back on, tighten the screws down, and then put the ring back in place. Then I flipped the breaker back on and tested to make sure everything was working. And it was, but it didn't fix the problem. Previously the light and the fan had been turning themselves on in the afternoons and in the evenings. That did stop after I made this change, but then the light started coming on in the middle of the night, which makes me suspect it was probably on the frequency of one of my neighbors, and then after I changed it, it ended up on somebody else's. The odds may seem slim for that explanation, but I have a lot of neighbors close by, and 4 switches only gives you 16 combinations, and I'm also kind of unlucky. So I did have to completely do these steps all over again. I moved both the remote and the receiver to yet another code. I did learn a handy trick on this second go around. You probably don't have to completely take the receiver out of the side like I did the first time. Once you slide the housing down, and if you have a small enough screwdriver, you can probably access the switches through the side here. It's not game-changing information, but it might save you a minute. Anyhow, the good news is that changing the frequency the second time resolved the problem. It's been several weeks now and the fan hasn't mysteriously turned itself on anymore, so at this point I'm calling it fixed. I hope this video is useful if you're encountering a similar problem. Hit the like button if this helped you out, and thanks for watching.